What's up, scrappy peeps? It's Adele from Inkie Quill, and today we're doing something that makes me go "Ugh," a little bit. We're scrapping photos of different orientations, and if you look back at my previous videos over the last, how long have 6 years? I think it's 6 years. I very, very, very rarely do this, and I struggle with it greatly. But I had these 3 photos of my Nana with little Violet when she was born, and I really wanted to scrap all 3 of them together. And so I just had to face the fear and kind of buckle up and try something that makes me a little bit uncomfortable. So the first thing is this background paper. My Nana is a very typical florally, loves good china, loves vintage finds. Well, they're not vintage for her because it's what she grew up with, but pretty florals always remind me of her. And when I saw this paper paired with Violet's little pink onesie, I knew it'd be perfect. It's also the type of background paper that I love to look at, but one that I do tend to struggle with to use just because the florals are so big and I'm more comfortable with more of a dainty design. So first up, I've got these 2 4x6 photos that are a more, I would say a more vertical composition. And then I printed a 3rd photo in a horizontal format, and I decided to change that one to black and white. And I think that's what helped it look like it was meant to be there. I have struggled with in the past of trying to scrap, say, 3 coloured photos, 2 of which were vertical and then 1 of which was horizontal, or portrait and landscape. So 2 portraits and 1 landscape, which is the horizontal one here. And I feel like when I've tried to do it in all colour photos, it's just looked a bit too busy. Whereas by taking the colour out of this final photo, I feel like it helps calm down the chaoticness of having all of these different, positions of where the photos go. So if you are someone who struggles with scrapping photos of different orientations, maybe give a black and white photo a go and see if that helps at all. I really do struggle, and I think I will continue to struggle with it, especially 4x6, because they're so big and they take up so much space. So another thing that I did here to kind of subtract from the fact that they are that black and white photo is very different to the positioning of the other 2 photos was that I slightly lowered the photo on the right hand side, the coloured photo of my Nana burping Violet, and I think that helped the black and white photo not stand out as much or look like it didn't belong as much, and so that's something that I'll definitely try again in the future. Another way that, if these photos were cropped differently, another way to make it look like they all belong together is to slightly trim the 2 portrait photos up the top and make them thinner so that they are the same width of the landscape or horizontal photo down the bottom, so that you can just make one large seamless photo block with all of the photos together. I hope that makes sense. In my head, I'm imagining it, and with my hands I'm drawing it in the air, but you can't see my hands. I wish you could. But yeah, it is a bit tricky. Let me know if you are someone who scrapbooks multiple photos. Do you typically do the same size photos, or the same, are they all portrait style, or are they all landscape style? I'd love to know your thoughts on that. So now it's my favourite part, time to embellish, and I've got this little DIY embellishment that I made over on a Patreon video last year, I think it was, and then I've got my other little bowl of other DIY embellishments that I've made previously as well. I'm trying to use up a few bits and pieces that have been sitting around on my desk, and I also had this little Dear Lizzie American Crafts sticker book, and it has quite a lot of clear stickers in it, which one we've chatted about before, and I do struggle with them as well. So I just stuck it onto some white cardstock and then cut it out like a normal sticker, because if I had just stuck it straight onto the background paper, it would have been a chaotic mess because you wouldn't be able to see through it properly. This was another DIY embellishment that I made over on Patreon. I think this was from February last year, and I made these little flags and banners, and I will admit I have been hoarding them because they're something different and they're very cute, and I just need to make some new ones again rather than hoarding them. Actually, I uploaded a DIY embellishment this week, if my scheduling goes to plan, over there as well, doing some mixed media tags. I'm really getting back into making them. They're just so handy to have when you just feel like making something and having the complicated prettiness already done for you. This was a stamped image that I made with some watercolor, and I just tucked in the title there that says family time, and I do have a plan for it, because another thing that I struggle with busy backgrounds is titles, and making them stand out. It can be really hard to make your title pop unless you have either a tag behind it, or some something of a solid color so that the letters stand out. And so in a moment I am going to do something to change this up a little bit. But before I do that, I am doing that now. So I've grabbed a white paint pen. This is the Sharpie brand one, and it's the water-based. I think they have an oil-based and a water-based one. And I've sped this up quite a bit because it took me a little while. I'm just doing one coat over the top. Now, if your alphabet was already white, you wouldn't need to do this. But because the family in particular was so dark, I wanted to make sure that if I was to put a colour over the top, that it would shine the colour properly. Not shine, that's the wrong word. It would show the colour properly, because I was thinking of doing this title in a pale pink. That was my plan initially, but I ended up liking the white. But if I was to put the pale pink Posca paint pen over the top of the black family word, it wouldn't have looked as pink as it would have with the crisp white underneath. It's like when you paint a wall. If you don't put primer on first, the colour doesn't turn out as you want it to. It's the exact same kind of concept. You could use gesso, of course, that's what gesso's for, but why use gesso and try to paint so finely when you can grab a paint pen and it does the same kind of thing? So then I'm going through, I've got this little draw system that I'm now using for my ephemera. I have a full video showing how I sorted all of that on Patreon as well, and it's been really, really handy, particularly for the florals, because I noticed that I had a lot of different florals across all different types of collections, a range of styles from cartoony to vintage looking to watercolory kind of looking. And it was nice to put them all in one spot. And I really enjoy mixing collections. If you're not a lover of mixing collections, then this strategy of sorting things would not work. But if you're someone who likes to, rifle through and kind of draw things out according to their color, or just according to whether you feel like you like it or not, then this draw system has been really handy, because my goodness, do I have ephemera packets coming out my ear holes. They're just everywhere, and every time I think I've sorted them all, I find a new stash. Here's a little packet that I shoved in here or on that shelf. And I currently have a basket. I call it my homework basket, because whenever I'm organizing my craft room, there's always projects. And let me know if you get distracted like this too. Whenever you sort time to organize your craft space, you get distracted, and instead of doing the organizing that you're meant to do, you get distracted to procrastinate things, because you find new things. You're like, I haven't seen these chipboards for ages. I'm just going to quickly paint them. Or, oh my goodness, here's that journal that I thought I'd lost. I'm going to sit down and do some paint swatches. That's what I do anyway. So I found a stash of ephemera, and instead of avoiding the cleaning task that I really needed to do, I would have abandoned the cleaning and then gone and sat on my lounge room floor sorting ephemera for the next day. But I didn't. I've put it in a little basket, and so if I come across things that I know are going to take some time, I'm going to put them in the homework basket, and they're for later. You know, for those nights that I have an hour that I want to stay up for after the kids go to bed and I want to do something creative but I don't want to make a mess, that's the perfect time to sort ephemera, not in the middle of cleaning when you've got things here, there and everywhere. So now I'm adding the final little touches, a little gold embellishy bit here, and I felt like I needed some sort of journaling, like some sort of handwritten font to kind of break up the overpowering pink floralness that is this page. And so I grabbed a tag and I popped this down the bottom. The reason why I'm posting this video today is that it was my Nana's birthday yesterday. So happy birthday, Nana. She's the kids' great Nana, and she's my only grandparent that I have left, and I love her very dearly. She turned 92. I have to check on that. But she's always been such an amazing role model for me, and I wouldn't be the woman that I am and the mum that I am today without her and her guidance and just the fun times that we've had over the years. So I'm very grateful for that. I don't know if I've made a decision yet at the time this video is going up. I'm recording the voiceover a week or two in advance, but I think I'm going to be moving my craft room to her house. I still have to work out the final, the logistics of it, but she has a very, 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 very large bedroom downstairs at her house that isn't used. And so Aaron and I are thinking of moving our offices over to there, to keep her company a little bit and to have a bigger space to work in. And so she's got someone there during the day. And so hopefully that will be happening soon. I will be documenting the whole thing as I did the setting up of my current craft room and the makeover of my current craft room. They're two different series that I filmed on Patreon if you're interested in following along and getting some craft room ideas. But yeah, so I think I'm going to move my craft room. You peeps know if you've been around here for a few years, I never stay in the same craft room space for too long. I've been in here for a couple of months, so now it's time for a change. All right, peeps, I hope you've enjoyed this video and it's brought you a bit of a smile, and it's helped you to dig out some of those complicated background papers. Ooh. All right, peeps, have a great week. Bye.